Alright, awesome. So first workout coming straight from the Warrior headquarters. Outstanding stuff. I'm Rich, and for this workout we're just going to be doing nice, easy work. There's a little bit of a warm up, a little bit of mobility work. We've got some pulling movements, and then a few stretching out at the end. All you're going to need today is you're going to need some kind of resistance band, a longer one. Doesn't matter how stretchy it is, but you do want a little bit of give in there. Okay, you might want some fluid or something along those lines to drink, maybe a towel to wipe away any sweat. You're going to need a chair or a box or something like that you can sit on as well. Okay, grab those things, pause video, grab those things, get on back and let's get after it, okay? Awesome, so the idea behind today's workout is these are about getting good reps. We're not looking to get as many reps as possible, okay? So we're not looking after that today. We want to perfect the reps, perfect the movement patterns, those kinds of things way more than anything else, okay? So when we start doing the mobility work and the stretching and all these kinds of things, we're not looking to push it super hard or anything like that. We're just looking to get it sorted straight away as best we can, okay? Awesome. So first things first, I mean obviously you're going to need some space as well, so make sure you've got like space around you, space on the floor. You might want a mat as well on the floor thinking about it and all those kinds of things, okay? But warm-up wise, we're just going to start right from the bottom of the body and work our way up. We're going to start with those beautiful feet and calves. So all I want you to do is start on your heels and rise up onto your calves, okay? We're just rolling on up and rolling back down, all the way up to the toes and all the way back. Upper body, driving our shoulders back and down, keeping our chest nice and pronounced, those kinds of things, okay? Good work throughout that. And now I just want you to hold it at the top and then roll back down. Hold it at the top, ever slow slightly, roll it back down and back down. Lovely stuff. So we've got our calves sorted out there. What we're going to look to do now is just a few nice easy squats to start with, just body weight, nice and easy, as far and as low as possible for you through your range of motion. And whilst we are kind of in this kind of body weight situation, it's a great time to really think about those body positions and those kinds of things, upper body especially, that we want to make sure is set back and pulled, okay? Now all we're looking to do, feet straight under the hips, nicely roll down, hands on the shins, slowly all the way down and all the way back up, okay? It's nice and slow. There is a slight rolling of the back, those kinds of things. It's all slow, as far down as you can go. Alright, let's take ourselves to the floor next. Down we go, nice and easy. Feet flat on the floor, right above our hips again. We're leant back and we're just going to roll those legs from side to side. Trying to keep both your shoulders on the floor as the best you can. Rocking over side to side. Not forcing it at the edge of every motion or anything like that. Just rolling it side to side. Maybe your lower back will be able to stay flush with the floor. Maybe you're super tight and there's a slight hip movement, but it's all just nice and easy. Then we're going to come up to a seated position, okay? This time we're going to do exactly the same, but just from a seated position. Those shoulders are rolled back again. You'll notice that your range of motion has been reduced quite drastically, because what we're doing is those hips are slightly more pinned. There's a little less hip movement as we fire from side to side again. That's all we're doing, firing from side to side as far as that range of motion will let you go. And what we'll do is we'll revisit a lot of these positions during the warm down as well, but we'll do them in a static point of view rather than a dynamic point of view, these movements. Okay, we're going to take ourselves to standing. Slight balance on one foot, hand on the wall or holding onto your chair if you need to help you with the balance. we're just going to fire this foot straight across the body. Firing across the body, nice and easy. Maybe you're going opposite hands, opposite legs, spraying across the body like this. Holding that balance all up on that one leg. Let's get the same on with the other leg as well. Just straight across that body, straight across the front as best you can, like you're sweeping up the dust on the floor or something along those lines. Back to the other leg again, and this time we're going forwards and back. Nice big, long, straight movements along that kind of foot lane that we would be in if we were walking. And towards the back now, start to kick the bum. So it's a straight forward and then a kick the bum at the back. And then the other leg. So it's a straight leg to start with. Whoop. That's why you need space. Try not to kick anything. Forwards and back. And then we're going in to kick the bum as well. Boom. Boom. Lovely stuff. And we'll go 90s/80s cheesy kind of aerobics now, but we're doing it super slow. Feet planted on the floor. Try and keep those feet in exactly the same position. Nice slow movements from side to side. Remember, it's all real slow. We're not looking to do super fast. We're not looking to do as many reps as possible. Just nice and slow. And as we're going, let's bring ourselves back to the front and just some big shoulder rotations forward. As far as your range of motion is going to let you go. Let's take a few backwards as well. Really feel those shoulder blades squeezing together as we're making that movement. Nice circles at the front of the body, one way, couple of circles the other way. Both hands out like you're swimming, both hands in like you're waving for help. Alright, so we're nice and loose, brilliant. So the first movement we're going to look at is we're just going to use our chair, should you have it today, which hopefully you should, because you paused the video and you popped it there, you grabbed one. We're just going to look at a squat position, but from the seat, okay? So all I'm going to ask you to do to start with, make sure you move your drink out the way or anything else, is we're just going to take a seat. Once we've taken our seat, we're just going to stand straight back up, okay? Seated again, stand right back up. Now the key I want you to focus on is what your upper body is doing. If you think about this stretch situation here where you would push down and away from your shoulders, maybe give it a go now. That feeling of those shoulders driving back and down towards your back pocket, that's what you want to be forcing on your body as you do this movement, okay? So that good upper body posture, your feet are probably either directly under the hips or just outside, maybe with a slight toe poke away from your knees as well. But then upper body's on and we go all the way down. We're sitting down. The weight is through the butt cheeks, there's no weight on the feet. And then we reverse it. And we're just going to do that for a nice easy set of 12 to start with. All the way down, seated, all the way back up. So you always want to develop a rhythm whilst you're going through the squat process. Same countdown, 1, 2 seconds, and then same back up, 1, 2. You got a good rhythm going on, you're in control coming down, just as much as you are coming up. And your arms really at this stage are to do whatever you want with, okay? If you want to pop them together in some kind of squat prayer, by all means do that. If you've got them on your hips, across your body, doing other weird stuff, that's fine. But we're just looking to get down for 12, remember. All the way down, weights off, firing all the way up. Almost think when you're taking up out of the squat with that head position, almost feel like you're doing a backflip. So drive that head up, drive those shoulders up, that upper back up, whoosh, throughout. Hope you're keeping count because I've already lost count, but we'll say that's 12 there, okay? So our squat position, brilliant. All the way down to the seat, all the way up out of the seat. Remembering that good upper body posture is what we're keying on there. So that's our first set. Our second set, we're doing 12 again, slight difference this time. Whereas our last set of 12, we went down to the seat, all the weights on my bum at this point, feet, nothing through the weights, and then we were standing back up, okay? What I want you to do for your second set is to challenge yourself, and I want you to keep the weight in your feet. So as you get down towards that seat, all the weight is still in my feet. If someone was to take that chair away right now, I would still be in the squat position because all the weight is still through my feet, and then I will come back up again, okay? So really, all your chair is there for you at the moment. Give you a landing spot, give you an idea of when you're low enough so that you can come back up. So the whole time you're firing in and out of your heels, more towards the back of your feet, but you know what I mean, okay? So then we go again. Remember, you're doing 12, a set of 12, that's all we're looking for. Perfect reps. So shoulders back and down, trying to keep the slogan on your top in front of you so you could see it in the mirror, that kind of thing. And it's just a set of 12. Off you go. We really want to think about our knees as well. Think about what your knees are doing. Wherever your toes are pointing, whether you're straight forward or at a slight degree angle, maybe 10 to 12 degrees, something like that, your knees should be tracking that way, okay? They should be facing that way. At no point during your squat should they be tracking inside, collapsing on each other, or going out wide like a cockney or anything like that, okay? So controlling your knees, controlling that upper body, and control the pace as well. Remember, 1, 2 seconds down, 1, 2 seconds up. We've got a good rhythm going on, down, back up again. Remember, we're going up to 12. So hopefully, once again, you're counting, because I'm certainly not counting my reps right now. And the more you watch my videos, you'll realize that I very rarely remember to count my reps. The other thing you want to really try and do is not put your hands on and push yourself up, because all you're doing is pushing your legs down, you're not supporting, okay? And back up. So remember, you're going to 12, make sure you count into 12 and you've got through them. Okay, so far we've done what I like to call as the sit to stand, which is where we went down, put all our weight onto the chair, and then we stood back up. Then we've done the landing pad squat, which is where we come down, we find it, and we come back up, but the weight is through the feet. 2 types of squat there, brilliant. Third type of squat, which we're going to do for our third and final set here of 12, is essentially a thruster squat. Okay, now basically there are two main differences for this one from a normal squat. First and foremost, it's the rhythm. Remember, I talked about our rhythm with our squat. It's 1, 2 down, 1, 2 up. Good cadence, up and down. With this thruster squat, the up motion is going to be very much quicker than the down. So maybe it's 1, 2 down, 1 second up. 1, 2 down, 1 second up. So we've got a lot more power pushing us on up. Okay. The second difference I want you to do is what we do with our hands. Okay. So with our hands, what I'm going to ask you to do is, as you power up out of your squat, you are pushing up at the same time. Okay. So we've got our band. I'm not going to ask you to do anything fancy with the band. With the band, all I want you to do is hold it about shoulder width apart. And as you're standing up, push on up. So we come on down and we push on up. So it's 1, 2 seconds down and we push on up. Okay? We're trying to feel nice and comfortable with our shoulders and our arms. So don't worry about pulling this in here, but certainly when you are holding it at shoulder width apart, what I do want is I don't want there to be too much slack going on through the motion. Okay? So remember, we're going for a set of 12. It's nice momentum down and then a big push up. 1, 2 down, 1 up. Okay, so let's go. We've got 12 to do. Remember, we're perfecting every rep. So we're coming on down, oh, whoosh. We're coming all the way down, boom. And we're still firing out all of our keys, okay? Those shoulders are backing down. We're not firing the shoulders up towards the ears. We're very much trying to keep the space between the shoulders and the ears. Okay? We're still driving up through the feet. Still got lots of power to take us up from the floor that little bit quicker. Still trying to drive those shoulder blades into our back pocket. And we're still kind of making sure that we're all working in rhythm with the body. So those knees are only tracking wherever your toes are pointing. And hopefully you're not getting caught on anything on the wall as well, or the ceiling. So all the way up to 12 reps. Once you've done that, lovely. So 12 reps is what we're looking for. And those 3 variations of squats that we've just did. So we did the sit to stand, we did the landing pad, and we did that thruster. Now one thing you might have found with the thruster is it's a little bit more taxing because of that 1 second up, because you're exerting a lot more power to speed yourself up. The thrusters are very good movement to enable you to get more weight overhead than you would be able to normally, because you end up using a lot of momentum from the legs to push overhead. So as the weeks go on and you develop that movement and your shoulders are happy with this pushing on up and all those kinds of things, you can get really heavy with that thruster to get much heavier weights up over your head than you would be able to with just a strict overhead press. Okay, lovely. Let's bring in the red band for our next set. Okay, so what we're going to do with the red band is you're just going to stand on it. Okay, now your band may have more resistance in it than me, it might have less resistance in than me, okay? So don't necessarily look at what I'm doing and being like, oh, I can't get that done. Let's just look at the band first, okay? That will probably be our first indicator that there's a big difference in what I'm doing versus you're doing. Anyway, 2 hands on the band itself, quite close to each other, all right? And you're just going to drive your your elbows high. So keep that beautiful back position, those shoulders back and down, and just drive those elbows high the entire time. You're being led by your elbows, so your elbows are always higher than your wrists. Okay, so at the bottom, my elbows are higher than my wrist. At the top, my elbows are still higher than my wrists. So we've got that beautiful rotation with our back, chest is pronounced, elbows are staying higher the entire time. And we're only coming up as high as the chin, okay? So, to start with, we're standing on the band and a set of 12 again. All the way up, all the way down. And obviously, through all of our movements, because they're so controlled, we can also concentrate on our breathing, okay? Good deep breaths in. Good deep breaths out. And once again, adding to more things to think about. We're not driving the shoulders towards the ears. We want to maintain as much space between those shoulders and those ears as possible. And it's those elbows going high, higher than the wrists the entire time. Drive those elbows high. Remember, we're going up to 12. I'm going to do 2 more. Last one for me. There we go. So let's look at the possibility that that might be nice and easy for you right now. So if that is nice and easy, if you've got many more reps left in the bag, okay, let's make it a little bit more challenging. With the band, the way to make this movement a little bit more challenging is twofold. Firstly, when you put your feet on the band, okay, if you put more slack between your feet, okay, you can see the slack between my feet right now. That means that there's going to be a lot more resistance on the band because we've taken a whole chunk of the band away. It's going to be a much more difficult movement, okay? Still exactly the same movement, still those shoulders back and down, good body posture, elbows leading the way. But now it's going to be a little bit more tricky. And obviously because they're resistance bands, the further apart or the further you stretch it, the more difficult it gets. So it just goes harder, 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 harder. Okay? So that's one way of making it more challenging for yourself. The other way of making it more challenging for yourself is to put the gap of resistance towards the top of the band. So rather than having my hands held right next to each other, if they're far apart, but then I bring my hands together, same situation. There's just less band, and it makes it much more difficult movement as well. Okay? The added difficulty with this one as well, if you do it this way, is that you're now going to be moving your arms independently. So now one side is going to be responsible much more for the resistance rather than when they're both in one point. Okay? So they're working kind of together here, whereas we're working a little bit more independently here. Okay? They're not really helping or supporting each other. 2 variations to make it more challenging. We're going through a second set then for 12. Okay? Hands together, whether you've got your gap in or not, and off you go. So let's get to our 12 reps. Once again, it's a nice slow motion, trying to keep the same pace at the top, and then back down again. 1, 2, 1, 2. We want to control that downward motion just as much as the upward motion, okay? There's a lot of muscles involved in bringing it up, and there's a lot of muscles and then stabilization muscles, all those kinds of things in the lowering of any weight. All the way up to 12. Good deep breathing. Don't break down your posture. The last couple to go. One day I'll count my reps. Maybe I should get a kind of a door counter or something like that. So instead of 12 again. Good stuff. So we've done 2 sets. We're going to do one final set before we look at a slight variation to a pull. And we're going to do a row situation. So, bear with me a second. I'm just going to check that we're still recording, because otherwise that could be a nightmare. Good. Right, we're still recording. It's fine. This week I just have the camera around the wrong way, that's it, so I can't actually see what I'm filming. So it's a bit flying blind, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, third and final round. We've done it twice now, so I'm assuming we're super experts. Just remember all your keys. Good posture, nice and slow, elbows leading the way, wrists are low from there. Okay, so let's get ourselves set up. Standing on the band, grabbing hold of that resistance band, and a set of 12 again. Elbows high. 2 done. I'm going to actually count them this time out loud. 3. Shoulder blades. You're still forcing those shoulder blades down towards the floor. Trying to place them in that back pocket as much as you can. Chest is pronounced. Shoulders are rolled back. 1, 2 seconds up. 1, 2 down. Try and keep your eyes up on the horizon as well. Don't start looking down. Don't start looking too far high as well. See if we can keep a nice neutral look out towards the horizon. And I'm going to do just one more. Lovely stuff. Okay, good. So the next movement we're going to do, like I say, is a row situation. And we're going to do this one seated on the floor. So, here's how we're going to do it. Take a seat on the floor, and depending on the makeup of your body, depending on how long your legs are, your arms are, your body is, your levers, all these kinds of things, how tight your muscles are, etc., etc., will depend on how this looks for you and how you're comfortable doing it. Okay? So essentially what you're going to be doing is your band is going to be around your legs. Okay? Simple as that. So either straight legs on the floor, maybe you've got a slight bend in your legs or something along those lines. Then all we're looking to do is grab one hand on either side of the resistance band itself. We've got that good posture, shoulders in the back pockets again. sitting up straight, and now you're just going to drive those elbows back. So arms are just basically by knees maybe, nice and relaxed like you can see mine are, and I'm just going to pull them towards where my gun holster would be. So shoulders down to my gun holsters, right there, and then back. That's it, it's just that tiny movement. I'm driving my shoulders back behind my body, and then I'm returning it back to the middle. Okay? Well, that's it. That's a tiny movement as much as we can. Now I recommend, if you can see here with the grip wise, is just once you've found where you're going to grip, is just to rotate it so your knuckles are up. So it looks like you're holding a hammer. Okay? And once you're in that position and you've got that upper body in a good position, just a row back. You can see how my elbows are back behind the body, and then it's nice and slow forward again. Okay? So, first set of 12 to get the movement down in our mind, and then we'll talk about ways of making it more challenging should you need it. So, we're set and a set of 12, so make sure you're counting. And as we're sat up on this one thing you might find is you might need to engage your core much more consciously than when you were stood up doing those various movements. Because we want to maintain that good seated position. And it's rep 4 for me. So we're going up to 12, remember? Nice, slow and controlled. Everything we do, remember? Nice and controlled is what we're looking to do. Number 9, I think. So I've got 3 more to do. 1, 2, and notice the slight pause at the top of every rep that I'm doing as well. Okay, nice pause at the top as I'm coming back down. It's just another way to put the time under tension on the muscles, which means the brain's getting the signals of what's going on and everything like that. Okay, so let's talk how to make that more challenging. The main way to make it more challenging, and you've probably worked this out already for yourself, is just to grab further down the band. Okay? So the further down the band that you grab, obviously the less of the band you're using, so that means the more resistance you're going to be pulling through. So as part of that, obviously you need to be aware that you're pulling more, so there's going to be more kind of pull on your feet, so you're going to have to keep them engaged through the motion. Okay, so if you've got feet flat on the floor, your legs flat on the floor I should say, then don't lock your knees out, try not to lock your knees out, but do be aware that you want to keep them engaged and keep pushing that wire away as we're moving through the motion. Okay, so second set, thinking exactly the same thing, nice and slow, good upper body posture, shoulders are back and down, we're folded up, and it's just a good slow pull and back. Right, set of 12, let's get after it. There we go. And really do put that slight pause at the back end. So it's pull, 1, 2, pause, 1, 2, pause. So this is our third exercise of the day. We've done 3 rounds of every exercise, and every single one I've forgotten my own rep count. Now usually with all my clients, all my one-to-one clients that I work with in the gym, if they forget their reps, they go back to 0. I'm not going to do that right now, because if I do, then this video will probably go on for 6 hours until I can remember my number of reps that I'm on. But you're just working there, keep counting all the way up to 12. Once you've hit your 12, boom, sit back, relax and rest. Maybe you get a glass of water, something along those lines. So remember, everything that we're doing, it's not just about getting sweaty, it's not just about feeling like our muscles are burning or anything like that. Because we're using these resistance bands, because we're taking it nice and slow and we're only doing a certain amount of reps per set, those kinds of things, we're looking to perfect the movements. We want to try and make them as perfect as possible. Okay, so just remember that. Remember, is this challenging? Okay, great. is my rep perfect? If not, go through your keys. Get a list, a laundry list of checkpoints every time you think you're getting it nailed, okay? Think posture, so you think shoulders back and down. I'm sat up, great. My knees aren't locked off. I'm pushing the wire away, great. There's a good drive back. My hands are coming all the way to my hips. My elbows are all the way behind my back. I'm nice and slow back as I am forward. Then, if that's fine, and you grabbed a little bit more wire, so the resistance is higher, and you repeat, and that's how we kind of gradually make progress. The other way that you can make it more challenging for yourself is to do the movement slower. So at the moment, with a lot of the motions that we've talked about, I've been using this 2-second protocol. 2-second pull, 2-second release. If you change that to a 3-second or a 4-second, etc., what's happening is you're leaving the muscles under tension for a longer period of time. So that means the work is much more difficult to sustain. So you can just as easily take longer to do each movement to increase the challenge factor as you can by making it more resistant or heavier, those kinds of things. Okay, final set. This is our final movement of the day. We're going to stretch off afterwards. Remember, set your wire up around those feet. Sit up straight. Good shoulder back, good posture. You grab the wire and it's just good 12. 1, 2. And this is a bog standard row movement. So if you're in a gym, on an isolation machine, something like that, this is basically what you'd be doing. Okay, a good rowing movement from forward to back. The only difference from this and an isolation machine is right now the guidance, the movement path that you are doing is not dictated by the machine. So there's actually a bunch of different muscles which will get a little bit more work, some of the supporting muscles, stabilization, those kinds of things, because you are in control of the whole movement path. Right, I've got a couple more. 2, good. So remember, you're working all the way up to 12 on that one as well. Good stuff. Okay, so that is 3 rounds of movement that we've done. What we're going to do now is we're just going to stretch off and then we'll be done for the day. So remember, if you want to get more workout in right now, it's only a 30-minute video, then by all means you could revisit the video again, go through the same movements. You could pick up one of the other mobility band classes on the YouTube channel, because once again they're all around that 30 to 40 minute stage and they're all based on just perfecting movement patterns. Okay, so if you want a little bit more going on now, find a different video and carry on. Okay, don't think just because the video's over, oh, I wanted a little bit more, because you can get after it if you want to. Okay, so let's get a stretch off like I said. And what we're going to do for our stretches is we're going to be super lazy, as I like to be super lazy with my stretching. So first and foremost, what we're going to look to do is just from the floor, we're going to lie down and revisit a few of the movements that we did dynamically, but statically. So lying on the floor to start with, I'd like to bring both legs all the way over to one side and just hold it there. So keep your shoulders flat on the floor, and then just bring those legs over to one side and hold them there as long as you can, and engage them the entire time. We're going to develop this a little bit more. So now what I want to do is I want you to bring them back up to the middle. This time bring your knees up high, shins are parallel with the floor, knees are above hips, and now fold the entire thing over again. Remember, the whole time we're trying to keep our upper body, shoulders on the floor. If you want to increase the stretch a little bit more and your legs aren't quite on the floor, take your hand and just push them on over. But remember that key, keep your upper body flat on the floor. Okay, let's go on up. Same situation. We did it dynamically at the beginning. This time I just want you to take it as far to the side as you can. And then you're just going to hold it there now. Hold it there for a little bit of time. And then we're going to bring our legs back up. Shoot your left leg, or whichever leg that you've been, whichever side you've been flexing over to start with, that's going to go straight on out. The opposite leg is going to go over the top, and it is looking to be behind the knee area. Okay? Once you've got it behind that knee area, we're just going to come on up and give it a big hug. Good upper body posture, firing our shoulders back and down and squeezing that leg into the body. Trying to keep both butt cheeks on the floor as best we can. And then nice, take deep breaths. Every time you want to take the stretch a little bit further, do it on the exhale. So a big deep breath in, on the exhale, a little bit more. And you can start to bring that leg up further and further back to increase the stretch. With our knee high, that same size hand is going to go behind the back, and we're just going to take our elbow and push ourselves around as much as you can. Lovely stuff. So now we're going to go back and repeat all that, but for the opposite side. So starting on our backs, and we're just going to keep our feet flat on the floor and just drive on over to the side. And we're just holding it to the side to start with. Big deep breaths, those shoulders are staying planted on the floor. Then we're going to bring our knees high, knees above hips, shins are parallel to the floor, and then once again, boom, over they go. Upper body still on the floor. If your knees aren't quite touching and you want to stretch it a little bit more, we can use our hands and push it on over. And depending on where you're tight, that will really depend on where you feel a lot of stretches. Because you can feel them in a few different areas, each one, depending on where you're tight, how big your legs are, etc., etc. So we're sat up again, and this time we're going to fire on over to the right, as far as you can. Key again, we're keying on that upper body posture, staying upright. Those shoulders, especially if you've got your hands behind your body to support you in this seated position, it should be very easy for you to keep in that kind of shoulders in the back pocket situation. Back. This time it's the other foot straight out in front of us. Pop that leg on over, and then it's a big hug in. Trying to sit upright. Big squeezing, good body posture. Try and keep your weight forward. If you lean back on this one, you take away from the stretch, but if you kind of lean into it and try and get some of your weight through the flat of this foot here, you're going to find the stretch comes on a little bit more. As with any time that we kind of hug stuff or we grab stuff, try not to bring the shoulders up towards the ears. Bless me. And then hand behind the back, elbow with a slight rotation as well. Remember, we're keeping both of those butt cheeks firmly planted on the floor. Lovely stuff. Bring the soles of our feet together. Let's go ahead and then bring our hands behind the back and just squeeze our knees down as best we can. We're just forcing our knees down, opening up the hips through the stretch. Lovely stuff. We'll come on round onto our knees, toes folded underneath, and you're just going to sit up on top of your toes, stretch out those feet all the way through the back of the foot, really stretching them out. Take those hands behind your back and push them down and away from your shoulders. Lovely work. Okay, thank you very much. Go ahead and give the video a like. Maybe leave a comment, something like that. If you really enjoyed it, that's great. Maybe share it with a friend or somebody like that. But yeah, have a great week and bye.